So I ordered in a bunch of perennials and I received my first shipment a couple weeks ago, and they were just little plugs. So I up potted them and I've had them in the greenhouse. I have bergenia, cordifolia, another type of monarda, can't recall the name right now, some salvia, caradana, and a white campanula. And what I want right now, if I can squeeze in here, are some of these bergenias. So here we go. Grab 10 of them for now. These might not be fully rooted into these pots that I've put them in. That's okay, I'm not super worried, but they might be for all I know. But these are gonna go in the front in the Daydream garden. They are a shade tolerant plant. They get cute little pink blooms. I think their common name is pig squeak, so whatever that kind of conveys to you. But yeah, I think that these would be a nice addition up here. Okay, I don't have like a hard plan in place, but and I also need to double check the size. We're gonna start getting them kind of laid out. I don't have much over here. Once the daffodils are gone, I think there might be a couple of hostas. Actually, looks like, yeah, there's a hosta coming through right there. And right here. But other than that, it's just the bugleweed. And I mean, if I bump into more hostas throughout here, it's no issue. We'll just, work around. But I want this to kind of be filled out. And same for this other side. I know there are hostas over there and another type of bugleweed, but I really want everything to be filled in. This is a bobo hydrangea right here. They don't get super big, a couple of feet, so try to not interfere with that. The lady's mantle will get a few feet, so I think we'll kind of call that right here for now. There's a hosta right there, and it might just have to be that I dig up some of the hostas, honestly. I don't know that I want this path to be as wide as it is right now. There's kind of no reason for it, so maybe kind of how this is. What is that? Maybe 2.5 feet is kind of all. Yes, I know for sure I have hostas over here. I can't recall. This is either a little lime or another bobo hydrangea, but I'm leaning towards little lime. This bench isn't going to be here any longer, or isn't going to be here in the future. It has a different home. Okay, so the full mature size should be 12 to 18 inches tall and wide, which is about what I was suspecting. So I'm kind of going gently just in case I bump into a plant I wasn't expecting. Isn't that the fun of gardening though? Forgetting where you planted things. So actually, you can see the roots have started to hit the edges and the bottom, so that's good. Oh, see? Oh my gosh, that was smashing this the whole time. Oh goodness, Darcy. I would say I can't believe I did that, but I absolutely can believe that I did that. So sorry. But isn't that just a testament to how tough plants are? I mean, that's been on top of that thing for weeks at this point and still growing. Amazing. Okay, so we got 10 of those planted. I think I had to order them in quantities of 36, which might be more than I really need. But when you buy plugs, they're fairly inexpensive. I'll plug them in somewhere regardless, but 10 right now. And I know that I do want to work in some more over here as well and kind of trickle out this way as it gets sunnier. And I know that I do have a few other things that I would like to work in here as well. I know I have some heucheras and heucherellas that I would like to kind of put in, and some of the geraniums that I just got, the biokovo, which is the lighter one. I would like that as a little pop here and there because everything's a little bit darker, obviously. All right, so I have these bareroots that we've been soaking, the astrantia and the biokovo geraniums, which are the white and pink ones. And I also have some heuchera that I dug up from an area in the cottage garden. I think I have 3. Yeah, 3 of those in here. Oh, actually, one broke off. I have 4. As well, and I don't know the variety. I want to say something taffy. I don't know. I can look through my plant tags and I might still have it somewhere. But I also have this Primo Pistachio Ambrosia heuchera, which is a chartreuse foliage. This is one that I got on clearance last year. I have 2 more, although they don't look great. They look like maybe they didn't survive over the winter, which would be strange. So I'm going to keep an eye on them, see if they start to put on growth. Fun and Games hopscotch, and this one is unlabeled. I want to say it's the same, but maybe not. Anyway, I have 3 Amber Moon astilbes that I also got on clearance last year. So another chartreuse foliage. They do get pink plumes or blooms on them. But I think a lot of these chartreuse things will really pop. These heucheras and heucherellas, they're all kind of bronzish, orangish, reddish, you know, in that realm of colors and tones. So it'll help break up the green and bring a little bit of color into the area. And I have a loose plan of where they're all gonna go. So I'm gonna get started kind of laying those out. Of course, I can't really lay the bare roots out. They'll dry out really quickly, but these I can. Okay, so here you can kind of see how these geraniums grow. You kind of have your main plant stem there, some roots, and then it sends off these little runners that will shoot out around it. So I'm going to do my best to kind of get the runners up out of the ground and the roots down, but if not, they'll eventually find their way out. I'm probably planting mine a bit closer than 12 inches. I might have to thin them out sooner, but want a little bit more gratification because they are bare roots. It will be a minute before they reach their full size and start actually spreading to fill in the space. Okay, so right here I have a lady's mantle that I planted last year, and it was just a 4-inch pot. I anticipate that it's gonna grow quite rapidly this year, actually. In previous years, planting 4-inch pots, they really put on a lot of growth very quickly. And then I have 2 persicarias. They're, I believe, fat domino. I didn't even know that these had survived. The first year that I planted them, something dug them up and like really gnawed on the roots, and they looked horrible. I just shoved them in the ground in a very ill thought out spot. But they're coming up, so I'm gonna dig those 2 up. And then right here are 3 filipendulas, and I cannot remember the cultivar name right offhand, but they kind of keep a low foliage. They keep a low foliage mound and then send up really tall spikes with beautiful white flowers on them. But I want to fill in the space around them and add another layer of dimension right here, as well as color. So I want to put in the astrantias, the bare roots that I have, in kind of a drift through here. And I think those will look really nice against this just kind of true green foliage, as well as complement the chartreuse foliage of the lemony lace once that starts filling out. Now I have no idea where I'm gonna put these. Okay. Alright, this tiny little plant was sending out much bigger roots than I would have guessed. So that's nice. Set that aside. This is Amma. She will help remove any worms that might be in the way. So you can see how different the astrantia roots look from the geranium roots. This is kind of more of what you expect to see. Just a lot of fibrous roots at the bottom and the stems of the plant at the top. And so we'll do our best to kind of spread these out in the hole, so they have to be a little bit bigger. Now let these bare roots soak for probably closer to 2 hours. I didn't keep a close eye on it, but I know it was at least that. And we'll still come through after I have them all in and get everything watered in. And there's Bama, digging a nice big hole in the middle of the bed. Fortunately, I don't really think I have anything growing there yet. This is one of the Fun and Games hopscotch heucherellas. It gets, let's see, 10 to 12 inches high, and it looks like up to 2 foot wide. And with astilbes, they can tolerate sun as long as you give them ample moisture, or they can tolerate shadier conditions, but less bloom growth the shadier they get. They kind of like that nice balance between part sun, lots of moisture. But these ones I really chose for the foliage color. Blooms are just a bonus. But if in the future it seems like this little corner is a little bit too shady, then, you know, nothing's permanent in a garden. That's one of the great things about gardening. Always room to move things, change your mind, fall in and out of love with stuff. Okay. I'm fairly certain, or I felt fairly certain that I had some hostas over here, but looking closer, I'm not seeing anything coming up. So I might come in with those other heucheras and put those right here. Oh, and I don't think I said, but the amber moon astilbes need to be spaced 22 to 28 inches apart and get a height of 34 to 38 inches. I would assume that that refers to the bloom stalk reaching those heights and the foliage mound staying shorter. One of my goals this year in gardening is to be a little bit more aware of kind of the layering that I'm doing in the garden and making sure that I'm being conscious of the growth habits and shapes of the plants I'm putting in. So, you know, some things are going to grow mounded, some things are going to grow more upright, and just knowing how something's growing and what I'm combining it with so that I don't have a lot of the same shapes. That also kind of applies to the texture. You know, a lot of things have a really fine texture. Some things have very broad leaves. I want to make sure that I have a lot of variance in that and it's not just all kind of getting lost in the sea of sameness. Okay, so those are planted. Yeah, we'll get one more of those hopscotch heucheras right here. Okay, this one doesn't look like there's much of anything going on as far as growth goes, but you look closely, there is a little bit of new growth. I think what had actually happened is they got eaten back a little too hard by either deer or rabbits. I don't know. I think rabbits might also like heucheras. It's hard to say. Probably deer. Everything's deer. If it's not my chicken's fault, it's the deer's fault. But there's still a little bit of new growth coming up, so I will hold out hope for those. Might as well stick that in the ground as well. Be a responsible gardener. Know the names of the plants in my garden. Okay, so I'm gonna get all of these things that I just planted watered in and find homes for the rest of the things, and I'll share where that all goes when it's done. But as for right now, thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you in the next video.